Good morning, everyone. It's Jazz. It's the West Ham Minds channel. Hope everyone is good. I went to the 2-0 win yesterday. Very long journey back. There was no trains running up and down the country, and it literally took me 3 hours to get home. I had to get up early for the Ian Bishop West Ham away event at Hackney Wick, which was absolutely brilliant, co-hosted by our very own Frankie alongside good friends, ex-employee Dave Walker there. So yeah, really nice to see Ian Bishop. Martin Allen was there as well. Nice to see him. A few photos with him, a few things signed with Ian Bishop, who came all the way from America. So that kind of set up the whole day nicely. And then yeah, it's one of those few occasions where it was very, very comfortable against Sheffield United. Yeah, very, very poor team on the back of the 8-0 thrashing they had from Newcastle. Yeah, they didn't really have much. Very comfortable, 2-0 up at half-time. And there was never really any danger to that scoreline, or indeed us walking away with 3 points, really. But the purpose of this show is really, it's you know what the channel's about. You know what I'm like. There's something bugging me. I'm going to say it, right? I don't care what other channels are talking about. I don't care. Yeah, if I get, people have a go at me, you know what I'm like. And I like to sort of think that's why you follow me. You get original content. You get honesty. You get opinions that we back up what we think. And more often than not, it's not what everyone else thinks. And we don't do that on purpose. You know that. And this show is, it's Kudus. It's Mohammed Kudus. £38 million signing from Ajax, Ghana international, one of the big names in Europe, alongside Doku, I think, who you've seen has gone to Man City and regularly starts games. You saw him even against our very own West Ham. He started the game, lasted most of the game, if not all of it, if I remember, full of pace, invention, scored a goal against us, whereas Kudus was just sitting on the bench, really. My concern is that yeah, he's one of our record signings, and you've seen the history of a couple of things with these owners. One is that they cannot sign a decent striker. By decent, I mean they are decent, kind of decent-ish when they sign for West Ham, because we've checked on them and we signed them because there's reasonable form in there. But as soon as they sign for West Ham, I think there's 50, 60 strikers or more, is it, that the owners have signed since they've been at West Ham since, around 2010? Handful has worked out. Handful, right? And Kudus, he joined, and the first thing I always do is look at the formations that this player is playing in. That's made him good. He enjoys it. It works out. That kind of thing. It's not rocket science. First of all, I keep telling you, you work out a way that your very own West Ham is playing, and then you sign players that play in those positions, right? So you bring them in without messing around with them, and they just fit the puzzles like Klopp. Klopp always likes fast players, full of pace, full of stamina, capable of high pressing game, and they fit into that model, right? You wouldn't put a slow or an unmobile player in that Liverpool team. It ain't going to work out, as an example, right? Spurs is the same. The manager's come in. He's got a clear identity of the way he plays. He's come in. He's carried that on, and he's coached his players into that. And any other player that joins Tottenham, it will be that kind of player. Skillful, pacey, stamina, high kind of, football, that kind of thing. It's simple, isn't it, right? As an example, Tottenham wouldn't go and sign Dawson, would they? Or Liverpool, because Dawson cannot play out the back. He's not good on the floor. He's not pacey. Having said that, hats off to you, Dawson. Yesterday, what you did with Haaland makes the second time you've done that. It is an amazing performance. Wolf fans going on about it. Man of the match. Hats off to you, my man. Always gave 100% to us. But going back to so Kudus, looking at Ajax, it's 4-3-3, strictly 4-3-3, not 4-2-3-1 or 4-5-1 or anything like that. It's 4-3-3, which means you got the three across the middle that can interchange, but they'll always be in that line. You got the three up front. And by that, I mean the three are in line again. They don't leave the one up front on his own isolated, right? And the two go back to defend. It's 4-3-3 for a reason. And Kudus is playing in that for Ajax, right? I admit he moves around within that formation, but it's always that formation. So you can see him in the middle or on the wing behind those three, or certainly you can see him in the middle of the front three, right? That's Kudus. Joins West Ham. I don't think we're a good enough squad or big enough wealthy club to sign someone for that amount of money, and 7, 8, 9, 10 games into the season, more often than not, he's just a sub. Because what happens with that, if you've seen it, is, listen, hats off to Moyes, Ward-Prowse, he slotted in easily because there was an empty slot there. It's kind of different, right? So Rice went, he slotted in nicely. Alvarez, similar to that, right? There was a position for them there, and they've slotted it in. And if you look at those two players, they're playing in the same position, right? So if it's 4-2-3-1, Alvarez is that holding player. At Ajax 4-3-3, he was the one in the middle three holding, so no difference to him. Ward-Prowse again, same position for Southampton, so you can see they're familiar with the pattern. It's not affected them, right? And you can see the good results. With Kudus, yeah, you don't start a player, and then slowly, it's humanity that you get frustrated because you've come with a big reputation, you got confident, you got clout about you, come to West Ham, you're training well, and it's in your mind why the manager's not starting you, right? Something must have been said that, yeah, you're going to join, this is the plan for you, you're gonna kick ass, we're going to love you, right? And then, yeah, on the subs bench for ages and ages and ages, and then the odd, Europa or whatever appearance now and again. And then when you do come on as a sub, like yesterday, we were playing 4-2-3-1, right, which he ain't kind of used to, right? But the worst thing is, right, David Moyes takes Antonio off. So we've got no striker. And he's not told Kudus to play up front by himself because, if he told him, he cannot do that. And he didn't do that in the game. He just slotted next to Bowen, and it looked like it was kind of, 4-2-4-0 with no one up front. But then, and I didn't see Bowen making any runs up front. I didn't see Kudus going through the middle. Kudus naturally was trying to dribble it. But then when you haven't got a striker to pass to, what do? You pass sideways, or you wait for Bowen to make the odd run into the box? It was a joke. What? And then if Kudus, listen, even in that stint, he showed us more than enough class, right? There's a bit where he went past 4, 5, 6 of them. Entertainment. Get fans off their seats, right? But he wanted to do a bit more, like have a striker he could play off and do 1-2 or set him up. There's no one up front. So why'd you do that with him, right? And then the only thing for him you got to do, you got to play 4-3-3 with him, or you got to have a plan why you bought him, right? If it's going to be 4-2-3-1, right? Let's go back, yeah. So if Moyes is going to stick to 4-2-3-1, at a minimum, you got to keep Antonio up there. Not Danny Ings up there by himself or anyone else, because no one else can play that role. And he, for one reason or another, the club didn't buy a replacement for Antonio, which I'm banging my head up against, right? And Antonio, I don't care what you say, I know he set up a goal. I don't think he's largely been on it large parts of the game. If you see the whole game, you see the full story. If you don't go to the game, you see, okay, Antonio got an assist. What you don't see is how many times we set him up, including the Liverpool game, and how many times he doesn't keep the ball well. It just bounces off him. He loses it. I saw enough of that yesterday, right? And he needs to be replaced or helped. He's 33. It's shocking at a club. When you look at Arsenal, Spurs, we need to get younger people in through the door, right? So you take kind of, 4-2-3-1, keep Antonio up there, and then you got to slot Kudus in one of those three positions behind. For me, I think we need to try him in that middle role. So obviously Bowen's going to be on the wing anyway, which he always is, but you got to perhaps try moving Paqueta onto the other wing, because as far as I can see, Paqueta, he glides all over the pitch. He doesn't really have a permanent position, and I think he's more than capable of, doing that role. But then the issue you get, Bowen is kind of, see, the thing is, we don't really have typical wingers. Bowen likes to cut in a lot, right? And it's not his fault. It's kind of some of the roles that Moyes has told him to do. And what isn't also helped is, like yesterday, I know a lot of you saying Coufal had a good game, which is kind of not going to argue with that. But apart from yesterday's game, looking consistency basis, our fullbacks, they don't overlap enough and provide that width, like wing backs, which we need. So if Paqueta goes to the wing in that 4-2-3-1, he doesn't have to worry about being a typical winger role. He can cut in, which he likes to do. Bowen can cut in, which he likes to do. Kudus in the middle, he'll have the whole pitch to do his tricks and set up Antonio or anyone else. But then the wing backs have to provide that width. We have to invest in younger wing backs. Then that 4-2-3-1 will work. Because Kudus, he plays in that middle of the three. Whether it's 4-3-3 or 4-2-3-1, it'll work for him. Maybe he can do it on the wing as well. And then, yeah. But then I'm not sure. I would like to think that if I was the manager and I brought in my star signing, I'd give him everything that he wanted to settle in and make a difference. I do not want a 38-40 million player on the bench all the time. I don't think we're that great that we can afford to do that, to be fair, right? And that's what you got to do. But what you don't do is take Antonio off and there's no striker on the pitch. That's balmy. That's bollocks, right? That's what you got to do. You got to think about that. You can't keep doing this sort of 4-2-3-1 and then when Kudus comes on, Antonio goes off, so there's no striker. You can't. Or you do 4-3-3. That's your second option, right? So you do 4-2-3-1, Antonio up front at all times. I can't say Mabouma or anyone else because I haven't seen enough of them. But at all times when Kudus is playing, he starts the game. You play Antonio up front and Kudus in the middle behind him and push Paqueta to the side and Bowen stays where he is. Or you do 4-3-3. Alvarez in the middle. He always did that for Ajax. Ajax always played 4-3-3, right? So Alvarez in there, in the middle, and Kudus, he can play in that three up front or in the three next to Alvarez on the side and Paqueta on the other side, and then your front three would be Bowen and Tony in the middle and perhaps Ben Rama or Cornet, whatever you want to try, right? You can do that, or you can put Kudus in the Antonio role in the middle, the front three, and then the Kudus has got Bowen and Antonio next to him. So Antonio goes back to his favoured wing position. I've forgotten if he can play left or right. I think he prefers right, but we'll have to work that out. So the 4-3-3 would be the three up front would be Antonio, Kudus, Bowen, and then you got Alvarez, Paqueta, and then either Benrahma or Cornet or someone like that there, right? Or Souček if you want, as an example, right? For me, I think Souček has to be sacrificed for Kudus more often than not. I don't want to go into who likes Kudus, who doesn't. For me, he scored a goal, but then again, he's doing kind of all right. He's doing all right, but there's still a lot of things that I'm not happy with him. But we'll go into another video. But for me, what is the best option? Is it to play Souček or Kudus? That's a simple question. For me, it's Kudus plays, Souček doesn't. But I'm not going to single out and say why and things like that. But you just got to have clear-cut ideas in your mind, right? So for me, Souček, Kudus' pace, power, ability is far more important for me than Souček's aerial ability and getting the odd goal here and there and all that kind of thing for me. I think you're going to get the team would benefit from Kudus starting than Souček in it. That's my opinion, right? But I'm getting worried why we didn't sign a second striker and all the things I discussed. You invest in the wing back area, you get Antonio's back up, whether that's going to be El Nesri, whether it's Abraham, or whether we're going to wait for Broja to get fit at Chelsea, whatever. Those are the players that can play that role up front. But you cannot mess about with Kudus by continually playing him in a team where there's no striker up front, or Danny Ings up front in the Europa games. Danny Ings, it's not his fault. He cannot. Why did we buy him to play him up front on his own? It's another example. Why did we do that? We did the same with Chicharito. They weren't bad players when they came to West Ham. You can't give me that, right? You can't say they're lazy. They just can't do that role. Some players are good at running cross country. Some are sprinters. You can't turn them into vice versa, right? And then blame the player or the attitude. It's just wrong. Danny Ings up front by himself is a complete shit show. We know that. We can see that. And Kudus is not going to get anything out of that. Danny Ings is not going to hold it up for him. Danny Ings is not going to run down the channels for Kudus. So then Kudus has got no one to look up to. Who's he going to set up? Who's he going to play the 1-2s with? And then he's going to try to dribble and take on too many people by himself and leave it because, A, there's no one getting in the box. That's an issue as well. If we break away, Bowen's just a specimen and a freak. Bowen can play in this Moyes demanding role, but not everyone's like Bowen. Sorry, other players are a bit different. So there's a lot of issues yet. We're sitting 7th, 8th in the league. We're only a few points from the top 4. I get it. But for me, my job is to analyse the games, maybe in a harsher way than other channels, but that's my job. That's my personality. That's what I like to do. I don't do wishy-washy shows. I don't sort of say things, and the end of it, you're thinking, is Jazz left or right? Or is it, you exactly know where I stand. And for me, again, it's at this time in the moment, they could change next 2-3 weeks. Suddenly we might find, what I've said, David Moyes is taken on board, and we do see Antonio up front when Kudus is on the pitch, and then they can link up and do that kind of thing, right? So take my comments on board, and I am concerned that we kind of are not really started well with Kudus, in my opinion. I think that he's got a lot more to offer, and my concern is the human factor in the player. It's difficult when you move abroad. I mean, I'm sure he's got issues off the pitch, like improving his English, even though it's very good, settling into Britain with his family, and then I think it's even better if he starts more games than not. He should start every game for me, and we should find a role for him. And when he's happy on the pitch, he'll be happy off the pitch. John Lyle always used to say that a good player is happy away from the pitch. I remember Mark Ward saying when he came from Merseyside, it was so difficult, but what made it easy for him to settle in the south from Everton was the way the team was playing, the way he came in, hit the ground running. I think he won one of the Player of the Year awards, Young Player of the Year awards, up there with Cotty McAvenny, and that helped. So we really got to consider this, that when we buy these big players, often our star signings, you've seen the history with Felipe Anderson and Haller, Dupe before that. Dupe was obviously nothing to do with positional. He just wasn't producing it for us. So that's a bit different. I don't blame the club for Dupe. He was a centre back. He was played as a centre back. He just couldn't do it, right? But other players that I've mentioned, we didn't play them in the way they played well to get them into the club, and then that you can clearly see we make them play differently. It's not going to happen. It doesn't sort of. I mean, sorry, Skamaka's another one, isn't he? I mean, I hope I'm wrong, but we've got to use Kudus in the right way. And if he's your star signing, it's not ideal to change your formation for one player, but there is a way, 4-2-3-1, you can do it like I explained, or you can switch to 4-3-3, which is not ideal because you're switching the whole team around. But you gotta play to your key players' strengths, haven't you? Really. So that's my moan on Sunday morning. Let me know in the chat what you guys think. Just let me know in the chat what you guys think. Really, for me, slight kind of concerns with that, really. So what is the plan for Kudus, Mr. Moyes? Why did we buy him for 38 million if we're not going to play him in the right way, really? So have a great Sunday. I might do another show later on. I am kind of thinking of putting some videos out there that I took of the West Ham Way Ian Bishop event, so I'll catch up with Frankie, see if he wants to jump in with that show or not. But take care, put your comments in the box and let me know. Take care, see you later, bye. Come on, you irons.